Well, folks, today we're diving into some good old-fashioned American iron. And no, it ain't got 8 cylinders, nor does it turn tires into vapor clouds. But I'll tell you what, it's got more torque than a runaway freight train and will plow a field quicker than you can say cornbread. Meet this hunk of agricultural excellence, the 2026 Farmall tractor. Now, before you get too excited, let's set some expectations. This ain't no trailer queen, it's a workhorse. It's built to take a beating, covered in grease and glory, and designed to outlast its owner, maybe even its grandkids. But does it still carry that good old Farmall heritage? Or is it just another plastic fantastic modern contraption? That's what we're here to find out. Now, look at this unit. It's red. Of course it is. If it ain't red, leave it in the shed. The styling still nods to the classic Farmall designs from way back. But this thing's got more tech crammed into it than a NASA launch pad. Under the hood, cowling, you got yourself a turbocharged diesel inline 4. Yeah, you heard that right. This thing's got more boost than an 80s drag car, but instead of blowing head gaskets, it's out here pulling tillers through clay like it's cutting through butter. Let's talk numbers. We're pushing around 150 horses at the PTO, which is plenty to run most implements without breaking a sweat. Torque? Forget about it. Somewhere north of 600 lb-ft, and it hits almost immediately. So you ain't gotta wait for this thing to wake up. That means whether you're baling hay or pulling a stubborn old stump, this thing's got the grunt to get it done. And speaking of getting it done, these tires look like they were built to climb Everest. Deep lugs, plenty of meat, and enough bite to make sure you ain't getting stuck unless you're trying real hard. This ain't some grocery getter. This thing was built to be knee-deep in the field, sun up to sundown, doing what tractors do best. Now, this is where things get a little fancy. Back in the day, you got a metal seat, a couple of levers, and, if you were lucky, maybe a single gauge that may or may not have worked. Nowadays, it's like stepping into the cockpit of a fighter jet. Touchscreens, auto-steer, GPS-guided planting. You name it, it's got it. Heck, this thing will even run itself if you program it right. Just sit back, sip your coffee, and let technology do its thing. Makes you wonder if the old-timers would shake their heads or jump in and embrace it. Probably a bit of both. Alright, time to see if this thing actually fires up. It's been sitting here a little while, and well, you know how things go. Let's give her a sniff of diesel, cycle the glow plugs, and see what happens. Oh yeah, listen to that. That's the sound of productivity, folks. That's the sound of crops getting planted, fields getting plowed, and money getting made. It ain't the fastest thing on 4 wheels, but it ain't supposed to be. What it is smooth. Real smooth. The suspension seat keeps your spine from turning into a question mark, and that power steering. You could pilot this thing with one finger. Compared to the Farmalls of old, this is downright luxurious. So, what's the verdict? Well, it's still got the heart and soul of a Farmall. It's still built tough, still built to work, and still built to last. Sure, it's got more technology than a spaceship, but at the end of the day, it still does what it's supposed to. Plow, plant, pull, and pay the bills. If you're a die-hard old schooler, you might miss the simplicity of the classic machines. But if you want something that works harder and smarter, this thing is hard to beat. Farmall's legacy lives on, and I'd say they did it right.